VA News.
Hello, and welcome to a very first special edition of VA News. Tonight I'd like to bring you the story of Marus Clay, a young man who was unjustly convicted of a crime that he never committed, and now he's just trying to get his life back. This documentary is a damning statement of the American justice system, and I hope that after watching this video, you decide to help out. And now, the Marus Clay story.
This is a true story that must be told. It's about how, for the last year and a half, an ex-governor has indirectly held a man's life as hostage. It's about the wrongful conviction of a young military man whose only mistake was being spurned by his young girlfriend. The media refuses to break this story, yet the truth must be set free in order for this man to regain his life. This is an account of the last 15 years of Marus Clay's life, and it's profoundly wrong on many levels. This story will have far-reaching implications if and when this story reaches the right people. It's a damning statement about the broken-down legal system in America. It starts with a court case that should have been declared a mistrial. It involves people in high places of local and state government. It involves the current governor and the former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, who is now running for president. Wayne Dumond, a felon who is released on parole by Huckabee, who then went on to rape and kill, ties in with this story. We can even throw in a rock star, Keith Richards, for good measure. Does all this sound too unbelievable? Just keep watching. The story begins with a 17-year-old Marus dating a 15-year-old girl back in Arkansas in 1992. The girl just happened to be the daughter of the deputy sheriff in the small town where they both lived. A falling out between the two young lovers prompted the girl to acquire the aid of 4 other girls, and in an act of revenge, the 5 girls accused Marus of sexually assaulting them over the course of some time. The girls' ages ranged from 12 to 15, but an assault never occurred, and no physical exam was ever performed on the girls to verify their accusations. The deputy sheriff believed his daughter's accusations and wanted retribution. During the time that the alleged assaults occurred, Marus was in Fort Benning, Georgia, in Army boot camp. But the trial judge didn't allow this key information to be presented as evidence, which would have acquitted Marus Clay. The judge had sustained an objection from the prosecutor, who argued to not allow a certain military document into court. He claimed that an Army officer needed to be present to explain an NGB-22, a certificate of discharge that would have established Marus's whereabouts during the time periods in question. This document would have proved that Marus was in boot camp and couldn't possibly have committed the crime. But this wasn't Marus's only chance to escape the injustice that was about to swallow up his life. When the Army caught wind of the civil trial that was about to unfold, they scheduled a court-martial for Private Clay on September 8, 1993. When the prosecutor, in Clay's civil trial, found out about the military proceeding, he arranged for the civil court date to be moved up, just 1 week before the court-martial. This is significant since the military was holding the evidence to prove Clay's innocence, and if Marus had been found not guilty, the federal decision would supersede any state decision. Private Clay would therefore become ineligible to face any trial in Arkansas and would be free. It appears that the civil court date was intentionally pushed up in order to get a quick conviction, and thus railroad this innocent man into state prison. Marus is subsequently found guilty and is initially sentenced to life plus 80 years for 5 counts of rape. There is no statutory rape in Arkansas. Within a year and a half, the Arkansas State Supreme Court reversed the lower court's decision and remanded back for a new trial. However, all 5 girls now refused to testify because they couldn't remember their original testimony. Still underage, they refused under subpoena to testify in court. The prosecution, with no other recourse, then offered Marcus a plea. They offered him 20 years in state prison. If he refused this and lost a new trial, he would be facing 5 life sentences. Marcus took the plea under the advice of his attorney, who told him he could fight this decision later. After being unjustly sentenced once, it was now time to play it safe. It appeared safe, but Marcus's attorney now drops the ball. He never advises Marcus that within 90 days from the plea, a request for a new trial must be made. So Marcus misses the deadline and a chance at a new trial with more favorable conditions. He winds up spending 8 more years in state prison until he's finally released. The year is 2003, and Governor Mike Huckabee now enters into the picture after Marcus is released, having served a total of 10 years in prison. Marcus meets with Huckabee and is promised a full pardon by the governor, who is convinced that Marcus wasn't in the state when the alleged crimes happened. Huckabee apologizes and tries to console Marcus with some Christian counseling. The pardon would wipe this conviction off the record. But when the time came in 2006 for Huckabee to follow through with his promise to Marcus, now 32, the governor reneged. Marcus had just spent the last 15 years paying for a crime he didn't commit, and the governor, with full knowledge of a man's innocence, denied the pardon. The reason is political, but politics aside, how could anyone do this to another human being? The answer can be found in the politics of pardons and paroles that occurred in Arkansas during the time period between 2003, when Marcus met with Huckabee, and December 2005. The governor was now dealing with pressure resulting from a convicted felon by the name of Wayne Dumond, who had raped then-Governor Bill Clinton's cousin. Huckabee had personally approved Dumond's parole, but after he was released, he then raped and murdered one woman in Missouri and allegedly raped and killed another. But Dumond died in jail before facing justice for the second murder. Facing political heat from the Dumond debacle, Huckabee became leery of his liberal policies when considering paroles and pardons. This is understandable. However, Huckabee was warned about Dumond repeatedly before his release. Numerous additional victims came forward and warned that he had assaulted them also. They petitioned Huckabee to not release this monster, yet Huckabee didn't listen and still paroled Dumond. This eventually led to the death of 2 women.